Dear Boomers, yesterday on July the 21st, 2024, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I received a flash on my iPhone that said that Joe Biden had stepped aside, and not too long after that, he endorsed Kamala Harris, which was, all of it was very shocking and wonderful. It was interesting to see my own feelings kind of plummet because I did not like the way the Democratic Party was ganging up on Joe, nor did I like the way the press was ganging up on Joe, and they were relentless, relentless. I felt it was ageist, and I do see, though, in retrospect, that Joe's voice was very hard to understand, and even as recent as the State of the Union address, he was much more um, articulate in the way he spoke. However, I wanted him to stay in, and when I heard he had dropped out, there's about a 30-minute period where I felt so sad. But then I thought, Kamala has been with him the whole time and may not have been egocentric and showing all of her accomplishments and everything. Well, she has a tremendous amount of accomplishments, but what is so important to me is her stand on women's rights. Now, Joe also has a great stand on women's rights and the right of a woman to make decisions about her health, not the government, not the Republican Party, not Trump, and not J.D. Vance. Now, this is what I went into my career in women's health. I went into, I started working at Planned Parenthood in 1985 and was understood that there were certain opportunities to become a nurse practitioner through Planned Parenthood, sending someone to school to become a nurse practitioner. And there were two different people who were up for that. But one by one, they weren't available to do what it was needed to accomplish that great thing of becoming an OBGYN nurse practitioner. So I applied and I got in. Now, the whole idea of women's rights, as my father was actually the treasurer of Planned Parenthood for many years, and of course the right wing has always been down on Planned Parenthood. In fact, my father and my mother attended a meeting at Planned Parenthood, and a right-winger and his wife came up the steps to the meeting. Everybody was like, oh my God, here they come. And nobody was really receptive to them except my mother greeted them, and she goes, and what birth control do you use? Ever the rebel. That's what she was, a rebel. And they kind of like, oh my God, they turned around and left. What birth control do you use? And then the reality is, if Trump gets in, you won't have any any birth control to use. And so the thing about Kamala is that she has an articulate way of being not only honest, but right on in her attitudes about what Trump will do with Project 2025. And they want women to become as invisible as they once were. At one time, not too long ago, we were not able to write checks. We were not able to have a say in anything. Now, my grandmother was a suffragette, and there's a lineage in my family of helping the woman to get the vote, and so that was very cool. And I do say that the country, especially the young people, are going to galvanize behind Kamala without any problems whatsoever. And I believe the Democrats are going to be very happy about it. In fact, they are. There's a lot of joy and celebration because the Democratic Party can unify behind Kamala Harris. Now, there's a lot of rumbling about, uh, you know, they will be pretty much getting Kamala to be endorsed at the Democratic National Convention, and everybody says that there should be other people to be considered for this, and that it should be an open convention and a true democracy. I don't think we have any time, people. We do not have time to waste and fool around, and this is not a game. And in fact, all the Democrats getting behind Kamala and endorsing her is a democratic process. Before Joe stepped down, there were a lot of people in my circle, and also the people, namely the Midas Touch Network and Harry Sisson and a lot of other people who were behind Joe Biden staying in the race. I mean, we were dedicated to it. In fact, it seemed like there was a big move on Twitter and other places to stay with Joe. And he has done a tremendous job in his civil servant positions all of his life. And I can't say I've always been a fan of Joe, but I realized, he's old. Lots of us are old, and we need to respect each other's age. This is what I believe. And the ageism that was flying out of nowhere, hitting Joe but not hitting Trump, well, now they will hit Trump with the same kind of criticism. And I guess everybody's going to gang up on Trump, but I do not have any problems with that. He is unfit for office, and had he not run for president, he would not have all this scrutiny about his criminal activities. And that's the truth. He would have been let alone. But for some reason, he decided to get into the limelight of the public and didn't get the scrutiny that he deserves. But now it's going to be a shit show, people. Get ready. Oh, I don't even like that. I don't really like that. I do have a Biden-Harris sign on my lawn, and I've been looking for my duct tape to put over the Biden and have just Harris there. And I'm sure lots of signs will go up in the next coming days. Politics is very difficult, and for people who are active in politics. My husband and I went to the Democratic National Convention in 1992, I believe, but not for Bill Clinton. It was for Jerry Brown, and I was on the credentials committee for Jerry Brown, and my husband was a delegate for Jerry Brown. And I'm trying to figure out, was that an open convention? Because it was not a sure thing that Clinton was the chosen one, because Jerry Brown was very active in trying to get his voice across. And he was resentful because he knew a lot of stuff about Clinton that a lot of people didn't know at the time, with his chasing underpants, you might say. But that's what politicians generally do, but certainly not Joe or not Obama. And there are a lot of people who don't. But we went to the Democratic National Convention, and I was pulled aside by the BBC, and they said, Are you a hippie for Jerry Brown? What was it that they said? Are you a hippie for Jerry Brown? And this woman was really, really inebriated on alcohol, and she was really very rude. And I said, well, are you an alcoholic for the BBC? And that sort of shut down the situation. Yeah, we were having a good old time at that convention. Michael Moore was there, and he sort of was the head of he was like a merry prankster, and every day he took people out to do some sort of civil disobedience and guerrilla theater. And I think it was an open convention. I need to check that out. I wish I could stop this and start it, but I think it was as close to an open convention than we have had for years. And there's these people walking around, these patriarchal white guys with signs that said FOB, Friends of Bill. Well, didn't they know that Friends of Bill is Bill Bill Wilson, Alcoholics Anonymous. I thought of it at the time. I wondered about that at the time, but they wanted us to change our affiliation from Jerry to Bill. And they were nice about it, but I must say, I think we hung on as long as we could. And then it became time to embrace Bill and Hillary. And it was disappointing. I think that in the end, Bill Clinton was a middle-of-the-road Democrat, and I'm not so sure that that is the best thing for the Democratic Party, but that was then. This is now. Kamala is well-versed in her prosecutorial ways of expressing herself. She had been a successful prosecutor in California. She was the Attorney General in California. She was elected to the Senate, U.S. Senate, and she was vice president for nearly 4 years. So she's the most accomplished person to ever run for president. So I give her my wholehearted support. And I know that Trump is in trouble. He could have beaten Biden because Biden was too hesitant, and it was hard to hear him because he had a very soft voice, and he was battling, old age things. Probably we will probably never know. But Kamala's in the prime of life. Prime of life. Well, prime of life. That's what Chandler says in Friends. And so, many, many blessings to Kamala and to the Democratic Party. And I will pray to the saint of lost items for my duct tape, or else I'll go out and buy some. Love, love, love. There's going to be a video that shows up right there. Check it out. Bye-bye.